Hello, everyone. This is Ask a Viking with yours truly, Aiden the Hostel. Coming here today to answer another one of Dr. Gaynor's class's questions. This question comes from Dylan B., who asks, what was Viking healing? How did they heal themselves, and what kind of medicine did they use? Well, this is a very good question. You all always have good questions, and I love answering these questions. We don't have a lot of information about the specifics of Viking healing. There is a lot of sagas that talk about healing, but they don't go into detail. It is thought that most of the time women were healers, and you had a couple different kinds of healers. You would have healers, women who would use herbs and plants to heal the sick, the infirmed. They would be able to bind and dress wounds and things like that. And then there were also healers who delved onto the magical side. They would use charms, or they would draw runes, or they would cast spells in order to call for the god's favor to heal the sick. Another source of healing information that we get, it comes from a lot of the sagas. Eyrbyggja's saga, for one, talks about how Snorri Gothi was brought a number of men who were injured in battle, and he dressed their wounds. One in particular had a wound across the back of his neck, which he dressed, fixed it up, patched it up, and told them that it would take a long time to heal. And the story goes on for a while, and the injured person keeps coming back, complaining that it's not healed, and he can't move his neck properly, and is told to be patient. And it eventually heals, and the guy's as good as new. Another story about Snorri Gothi doing healing comes from the same saga. He is sitting down at a meal with a number of people, and one of the Vikings was having trouble speaking. And Snorri stops what he's doing mid-meal, and he opens the guy's mouth, and he reaches in and pulls an arrowhead out of his gullet. Things like this is what's been recorded in sagas. They don't go into specifics about specific herbs or specific medicines that they used per se, but a general vagary. There is a lot of evidence that would say that Vikings knew how to dress wounds, they knew how to clean wounds, they knew how to set broken bones. Many of them would do it for their comrades in battle or shortly after battle. There's one story about a Viking who was in a battle and got gutted by a spear, and his guts literally spilled out. He gathered them back up, tied them up, and continued to fight. And then once the battle was over, sought medical aid. So there's a lot of stories like this, but nothing concrete on, take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning kind of thing. Now, it would be amiss if I didn't mention that the Vikings weren't all alone in the world. They were surrounded by many different peoples, and they traded with many different peoples, and they interacted with many different peoples. So with that being said, it is common thought by experts that the Viking culture had knowledge of continental European medicine and remedies. The Anglo-Saxons, which were a sort of offshoot of the Viking culture that were primarily in the country of England, they had a lot of medicine that was almost wholly derived from Greek and Roman sources and the continental European sources. One of the books that I have that details a lot of this, now granted it's Anglo-Saxon and not specifically Viking, but it's called Leechcraft. And it is a book of Anglo-Saxon medicinal herbal remedies and charms that they would have used. And it has been it's researched and documented, and it has a wonderful bibliography, including all kinds of things, even going so far back as some of the writings of Pliny the Elder, which was centuries before the Vikings and whatnot. These books and these writings were available to most of Europe and up into the British Isles. So they would have had a lot of that information, and any of the cultures that the Vikings interacted with, they would have been able to learn and replicate. So there was a lot of knowledge around the healing arts. But like I said, specifically to Viking, there isn't a lot of written evidence other than stories in the sagas themselves. I hope that is helpful. As always, I enjoy answering your questions, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you.